Okay, so this one is you kind of getting an idea at this point if you've been watching this long or all the parts beforehand. So I'm not talking about the TDO ECO process anymore. I'm specifically talking about the psych ward time period that you end up in when you get into these situations. Because I'm trying to at least inform people because it seems like a lot of people don't know much about this area of the legal system where basically your rights don't exist. The moment someone deems that you don't have the ability to take care of yourself or you may be a, detriment to yourself or other people, your rights just don't exist at that point. Now, you don't just get beat up for no reason unless you obviously do something. But basically, you're now in a process. You're on what I call the assembly line. The assembly line is basically them jotting down anything you're saying and anything you're doing about it, and you're just overlooking, just examining you. Basically, it's the same thing they would do with the product on the assembly line to make sure that you're the right fit for whatever place they want to send you to. I don't know how they do it. Obviously, as a product, I would not know how my overseers would categorize me. I feel as though I'm a broken product because I keep coming back to the conveyor to the assembly line anyway. So it's like I don't know to tell you. Maybe just I don't know, leave me alone. If I could just do that, please. But basically, Poplar Springs was a very odd experience because I've been to many psych wards in the past. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was in psych ward once, and then as a civilian, I was at least 4 or 5 times at this point, or even 6. I'm not sure. It's been going on 8 years, 7 years, definitely. So been a while. But basically. Poplar Springs was a private hospital, so it had a lot of. I honestly, as a veteran, and as a person who was a civilian once before too, I can't tell the difference between private and federal. Only way I know it's a federal is if it's a VA hospital, like a veteran hospital, because I know that's federal. Okay, and actually, on to that point, so veteran hospitals, because you tend to think maybe they would have taken you to that hospital, a veteran hospital. No, veteran hospitals apparently do not take emergency patients, so they don't take you if you were. So maybe if a cop was nice enough to bring you there, because I heard that story once, a cop was nice enough to bring the guy to the veteran hospital instead of jail. He was like, yeah, I'll just take you to the VA and they'll just take you in knowing you're mentally, messed up. And I was like, well, at least he was being nice. That was good. That was nice because, A, you don't have to worry about money being paid for anything really. And C, they'll help you find, housing or work or whatever you might need. Poplar Springs, though, no, they don't have any kind of rule sets like that. I don't even think, yeah, they don't have any kind of job offers or anything like that. I mean, but then again, it's kind of more on you to kind of seek those things out. I don't recall if they did. That part I won't really touch up on too much because not many hospitals really do it anyway. Because the stay is supposed to be super short. Like, average from what I experienced and what other people have told me is a week. Like, and if you can't get out within like the first 5 days of being there, you're probably gonna be there by next week, which is horrible in general as a base rule because it's just like I gotta hope that like the judge just has pity on me and lets me leave because it's clear I'm not doing anything to warrant me staying forcefully at these facilities because you can't run out of these places. They're locked and key secure. You will get tackled down and you will be knocked out. I see it happen. When you go into these places enough times, you eventually see a couple of times of people getting knocked out like this. And it's not a fun time. The floors are hard. You are not going to enjoy being slammed to the ground. So that's why I don't mess around with it because I don't have any way of really fighting back. And a lot of those first like 5 years of being out of the military, I was in pain, and really nobody was really trying that hard to help me. So I just had to deal with the pain as I was doing all my work, trying to set up everything with the VA, and going to work, just going to work like regular, and I didn't have a car. I chose a long time ago that my life was going to be on hard mode, so I never got a license. All right, self deprecation is something I find to be a healthy practice. I've been practicing it for, I'd say like a little bit over 9 years, 9, 10 maybe. I would say like it was definitely after high school. I'd say that I started practicing like just joking about myself, like, oh, it would be easier if you had a car. But that's the thing. But Poplar Springs, there was low amount of security, which was funny because I had been to Poplar Springs 2 times. And basically the first time, it was a very odd experience. I was put in the lower levels because depending on how violent of a patient you are is what level you get put on in Poplar Springs. And they did have a veteran ward, but they just didn't feel like they did a veteran ward, I guess, because I didn't want to be there, and I wasn't in a state of mind where I was like, I'm just a depressed man. Like, could I not end up constantly going back to the psych ward and whatnot? Like, I just don't have anyone to talk to. But they put me in the lower level, which lower level, there was like just a fights. There were just fights back to back, and such like slow responses, because these fights would happen and they would happen for a bit. And it really depended on who was fighting who for how fast they would respond or how able they would be respond. Because if it was 2 girls, no one would respond. No one would do it. Everyone would just watch as a girl would just get brutally beat up. And this happened. This girl got beat up by the same girl like I think 3 times in the same week. And I'm just like, could you just not? I don't know. Just figure something out. You can't just keep having these 2 in the same place. I mean, I don't. My commentary about them is completely to myself. So that's as far as it's just the fighting was something that was like, okay, well that's just so. Like, you keep letting this happen. And it wasn't just, again, it wasn't just the girls, there was guys too. But the guys, the male medical staff would deal with the guys. But my second time, I was actually put in the lightest security, and it was supposed to be the most, like, very relaxed place for inpatient care and whatnot. And I was thinking, okay, well, hopefully this is just boring and not like last time where there was fight, and I was actually like feeling the need to prepare myself because I was like, well, I can't tell the difference if I'm in the, loony bin or, or the, or jail again. I'm like, I just better start doing some night workouts because I don't know, the ex-inmate, he's ex-military too, and he's destroying things now, so I need to be careful. But the second time, lower security, and I was like, okay, well, I shouldn't worry. Like right across from veteran ward, and there was a lot happening, and I did not know. So basically, you weren't allowed to even. So in medical wards, you have your TV room and activities and whatnot. You got hallways that you can pace around in at your leisure. And a lot of them let you just go to your room and just lay in bed because you're forced to be here. You might as well be able to just go to your room and just be by yourself when you need to be. A lot of places would just have their medical teams come to your door and just check out and see how you're doing. Poplar Springs, no, you were not allowed, and this was on both occasions I was there, you were not allowed to be in your room unless like you were a special case of some kind, and that was it. So, and no other patient would be allowed unless, again, like you were a special case, like the veteran side, which they were allowed to go in their rooms, And they were allowed a lot of amenities. Like they had gaming rooms for themselves and everything. They were just outright getting treated better. They had everything because I was assigned a room on that side because I was a veteran. I'm a veteran. I was a veteran. Wow. I'm a veteran, so I was assigned a room on that side. But I just went to the civilian side because I was like, I saw that side already, and I was like, okay, the civilian side could really use like just somebody who can talk to them about stressful. It tends to help out when you're talking to someone who's been there, who's been down those roads, those real dark roads. So I stayed on the civilian side because I really wanted to help the civilians because I was like military side. I was like, I get it, guys, but you guys got each other. You clearly can help each other. Civilian side, a lot of times with civilians, they don't have that, unique bond that veterans or active duty military have, where they're like, okay, we both wear a uniform, we both know our job, we both will fight, that kind of jazz. It's not something that translates to civilian. Because civilian, you could be the, cashier clerk, at the medical site ward, and you might have this office worker, and they have nothing to do with each other. They're not going to talk to each other about much. They may, but it doesn't happen often. I'm happy I went to the civilian side, because basically there was a lot of fights that were breaking out over there, and at one point I started having to intervene because it was becoming problematic how often these potential situations kept popping up where like people were clearly about to attack, and I had to jump in, and I started training more. I even like I tore up some shirts and wrapped them around my hands because I was just like, I'm ready to fight. Because again, we had two ex-inmates, and one of them was just openly aggressive for no reason, and basically he would just be aggressive for no, like, just like, it didn't matter how you approached him. He had to be this narcissistic, aggressive person for no reason other than, I want to look tough. I want to, look tough as hard as I can. But when it came down to me, and when I started to realize how much of a nuisance he was to everyone, because we have no choice but to be in the same ward for a week. Oh yeah, about those term timelines, you can be in there for about max 3 months. It depends on the judge, because you do have to talk to a judge before you're involuntarily put in. And I say talk because often enough they're gonna commit you for a week regardless. And your doctor's gonna just get you in there for a week, and it really doesn't matter what reasoning you're there for. They're gonna have you there at the very least a week. Now, if you still sound weirdly crazy and you sound like a person who legit doesn't need to be in there, then yeah, they'll extend you. But that's max 3 months. But often enough, you can't even call your job, so you might not have a job when you get out there. So your life would be effectively worse sometimes going to these places if you don't have a security on these things for your livelihood. Again, like, do you know your apartment complex's number well enough to call them? Because you don't have your phone, they take that from you. Some places will let you use it, but places like Poplar, no, they don't let you use it at all. They take that, they store that, they don't call, they don't mess with your phone. That's the only good thing. They don't mess with it. They may lose your stuff, like my clothes were lost. But yeah, basically though, Poplar was a mess. And again, the whole not being able to like go in your room and sit down or just sleep in bed because there's nothing happening. Like, they say it was meant for like improved patient activity, but there was like a clearly like 50 to 60-year-old man in there who was limping all over the place. I think he could have been able to really benefit more from being able to get into his room. But, what do I know? I'm just a veteran, a young veteran boy who's only 30 years old. Like, how am I going to say anything against Poplar, I mean, look them up online. They have a great reputation. But, turn you out.